prosecution outlined how accounting practices of comedy functions did not.
What kind of likeness is that? If they were great artists, they'll be in a museum.
Evidence today may signal at least one.
You fucking fodder for cartoonists now?
Now listening to Gutter Boys. Gutter Boys is a small press comics podcast about the ins, the outs, the highs, and the very deep, endless lows of making comics. I'm your host, JB, with my co-host, Cam. Today we are joined by Big Gleb, friend of the show, also known as Gleb Melnikov, current artist on DC's Robin, so you might have heard of him. But yeah, we talk about Robin, the history of Robin.
A life worth living if it ain't toxic.
Right. We talk about, panel by panel, all the references that Gleb makes to titles prior. So you old heads will love this one. We're definitely going to talk a lot about that. So stay tuned.
That's what we talked about.
Yeah, that's all we talked about. Yeah, actually.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And but before we get into our interview with Big Gleb, we have some news and shout outs as per usual.
Yeah. So just kind of quick news. Jack Kirby is finally getting credited as one of the writers on Fantastic Four. I want to say it comes out in October or November, but this year, I guess, is the 60th anniversary of the Fantastic Four's debut. And to celebrate, Marvel has, I don't know exactly what issue it is. I'm not going to look it up. You can Google it, but they're doing like one of those king-size specials that Stan and Jack did back in the day. And they're having an individual artist redraw each page based off of Kirby's page. So there's like 50 artists involved and so forth. But if you look at the credits, it says written by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, art by the endless list of contributors. There were actually some cool names on the list, but yeah, you can Google that. But it is just interesting to finally see that they're listing Jack Kirby as the writer on a Fantastic Four book. Of course, though, it's after Stan Lee's name, but it's good to see them finally acknowledge it, I guess, officially, because It's something everybody knows.
Yeah, it's only fair that Stan Lee gets the shout out first, honestly.
Yeah. Yep.
He's doing the work.
Yeah, and he's the guy. He's Marvel, man. That's him. I do like that guy Dan Lee, who's impersonating him and showing up at cons. I think that fucking rules. He looks just like him. Kind of looks like Knoxville and Bad Grandpa. Somebody said that we should try to get Dan Lee on the show, and to be completely honest, I am not opposed to that.
I'm not opposed to that either. We should definitely hit him up to, at the minimum, do an intro for us.
Yeah, so we need to get Dan Lee to say Excelsior or some shit for us.
Right.
So yeah, that's the new goal of the show. I got to track down this Dan Lee fella.
Well, he's in line. He's second in line because we still got to get Steve Sharippa on.
Oh, yeah. We got to get Sharippa too. Yeah. And Moltisanti as well. It'd be cool to get Chrissy on the show. He seems like he's an alternative kind of guy.
Yeah,
so it's all about.
He shout out a comic that he liked?
Yeah, the Adrian Tamina book.
Yeah.
Actually, he was like, that's news. He just got an animated show.
Yeah. Yeah, he was like Adrian Tomine. That's my guy. I remember him saying that on Twitter. Was it Twitter?
It was Instagram, because he really only interacts with his fans. Imperioli really only interacts with his fans in the comments section. Somebody asked him recently if he was a Steely Dan fan, and all he said was Bodhisattva, which is sick, because that's a badass Steely Dan song. So I would really love to chill with Imperioli. I mean, he kind of has lib brain a little bit, but
more than a little bit, but yeah.
I'd still chill with him.
Yeah. We could talk about My Bloody Valentine. It's fine.
Yeah, hell yeah. All right, so I guess that's all the news that I had. Yeah, well, I did. Yeah, Tamina is getting a cartoon that's produced by A24 that's based on his autobio comic, The Loneliness of the Long Distance Cartoonist. Kind of weird that it's animated, just because it's A24. I don't think they've done any kind of animation stuff.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But, cool for him. He just stays at the top of the game.
Get that bag.
Yeah. You got any news you want to cover?
Not much in the news in the world of comics, but we do have a lot of shout outs to cover.
Yeah.
All right, first we have Brandon Lehman's Ghost Stories that he sent over by Bad Publisher Books. Spoiler alert, I haven't read any of these yet. I was kind of gone for a while, but it looks good. I'm going to check it out. It's 4 panel per page. I like that format. Can't go wrong. And
it has a really nice cover too. I thought the cover illustration was very nice. I haven't gotten a chance to read it yet, Brandon, but it is getting closer to the top of my pile as well.
Yeah.
It starts at the bottom and I take from the top and it's getting closer to the top.
This looks like if you started doing more backgrounds, this is what it would be. Which is that's high praise, I think.
Yeah, it looks like he, I've just started drawing dots for eyes. It looks like Brandon's drawing real eyes. So props to you, Brandon, for not being as lazy as me. But yeah, you can pick that up from Brandon. His Instagram is @brandon.lehman, LEHMANN. And go pick up that book, Ghost Stories.
I love that title.
Yeah, it's pretty sick. Alrighty, so this dude had actually sent us over a bunch of issues before, but Brian McCrae sent over his new issue of Umbrella Policy. It's a little anthology that he does. There's always really cool stuff there. It's published via an imprint that he's associated with called Radical Moisture Press. But Brian makes so many cool comics. I'm really a fan of his personally. So anytime I get, more work from him, it's always great to see. So we appreciate you sending that over. You can get a copy of that book and follow Brian over at BAMCCRAY on Instagram and at Radical Moisture Press. Brian is from Dayton. And I recently have been listening to a lot of that band Brainiac, and they were from Dayton, and we chatted about Brainiac in the DMs, so shout out to Brian and Brainiac. Did you ever listen to Brainiac, or was that too wild for you?
No, I've never heard of them.
Oh, they were a band in the 90s. They were really crazy, didn't really, it was like
Ruins?
Pop, but noise.
Oh, never mind. Okay.
But they were on the verge of blowing up.
Mm-hmm.
They went on tour with who was the big tour they went on?
Lightning
Bolt?
It was
with Beck. No, it was with Beck.
Oh, wow. So big.
Yeah, so this is 93, 94, 95, 96. They have a documentary that you can stream that's really good. But the singer died when he was 27. And apparently he was the guy that wrote everything. And he was just a weird dude. But he died because he bought this old muscle car. And the exhaust pipe was leaking into the inside of the car. So he died of long-term carbon monoxide poisoning from driving the car for 6 days.
Jesus Christ.
So that's just him. He was this rich rock star who just didn't get his car checked out, and it's unfortunate that he passed. But I was just man, that was so avoidable. But yeah, no, sorry for the sidebar. Brainiac's from Dayton. Brian's from Dayton. Check out Brian's comics.
Yeah. All right. Next book is from friend of the show, Billy Bozel. Is that how you say it? Is it Bozel or Bozel?
I've never actually heard it pronounced out loud, but I've always read it as Bozel.
Okay. They sent us over a copy of Clot Osborne Drank Too Much Last Night, a choosable fate adventure comic. You control the fate of our hero, contains 14 possible endings. He also included an original piece of art that he did for me. And
who did he draw for you?
Sticker and pin. It is Clot Osborne is stuck in a wooden crate, and it is a drawing of a wooden crate with Clot looking through a hole, and he says, "Hey, anyone got a crowbar?"
I actually, just to say how highly I think of this book, and, Billy's a friend, I actually bought the book. He did send one to JB, but I actually wanted to support Billy directly. And he sent me a nice drawing of Clot Osborne drawn as Nancy. So
nice.
That was a pretty funny drawing. Thanks for the drawing as well, Billy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really interesting. I actually read through the book multiple times because, it can end in 3 pages. It can end in 8 pages.
Right.
But I've actually never seen that done in comics. Not to say that it hasn't been done. I'm sure somebody's going to say, oh, it's been done.
Yeah.
But to me, that's new. I've seen it in, chapter books and everything, but I thought that was a really interesting approach. And to be honest, props to you, Billy, because laying that out seems like a nightmare.
Yeah. That seemed like it was probably pretty taxing. He also included a note. The Gutter Boys helped me get off my ass and print my comic. Thanks, JB. Billy. Hey, Billy. Thank you so much for sending this. And also, I just want to say as a side note, Billy did an amazing job packaging this thing so that it would survive the trip. He taped it to a backer in a heavy-duty envelope, and the comic itself was also polybagged with its own backer. So he went above and beyond. This is the kind of packaging you don't really see that often from small press people, mostly because this shit costs money.
Yeah.
He did it. So, shout out to Billy for everything on this. This is excellent.
Yeah, you can find him on Instagram at nylon_horse. I definitely recommend checking this out. It's a, choose your own adventure comics, so it's worth it for the experience alone.
Yes.
So another comic that was sent to us from overseas and the United Kingdom, cartoonist Matt Greaves sent us over a couple books. We got his Chip McFit's Joint Fever, which was a funny mini comic about marijuana and making a documentary on that. And then he also sent us over his oversized comic called Blatt. And it's just a one-man anthology. It's actually like really nice sized, huge format. And I'm not sure exactly what the conversion is, but it says that it costs £3 on the cover. Seems very cheap for the production value of this comic. But the drawings are very nice. The comic actually had some laugh out loud funny moments in that Blatt book. I actually recommend checking that out as well. If you want to follow Matt on Instagram and pick up his book, you can find him at Matt_Greaves, GREAVES.
Okay, we also have a book from Jeff Pusateri. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm probably not.
Yeah, you are.
Okay. He sent over Doom Country #1, and also have not read it yet, but it looks fun, so I'm going to be checking this out. I don't see any Instagram information on here.
I've got it. Jeff, I actually did read the book. It has like a really cool, like the character design kind of reminds me of like Winsor McKay and Little Nemo in some aspects. And then, but like in a heavy metal book. That's the kind of vibe that I got. Really cool comic. Looking forward to seeing more from you, Jeff. His Instagram, I've got it right here, is at Jeff_Pusateri, Pusateri.
Awesome. Yeah, I really like how analog everything looks.
Oh, yeah, you could tell there's no digital work in this at all.
Yeah. So, hey, man, shout out to Jeff doing the work, and thank you very much for the comic.
Appreciated. Alrighty, so we actually forgot to shout out this comic. So if this happens, you could DM us and we'll circle back around and get you. But friend of the show, Lance Raber, sent us over a copy of his comic Blue Skies, along with some original art as well. It reminds me of a daily strip. It's a 4-panel gag strip. But when you actually sit down and read this, there are a few laugh out loud moments. It is pretty family friendly, but I think that, there's something to be said there when you can make a funny comic in a family friendly format. So, props to Lance. He did mention that he had a new book coming out soon. You could follow him on Instagram at blue_skies_comic and pick up a copy of Blue Skies. I actually do recommend it. It was really funny, really kind of heartwarming. So if you're into something like that, definitely check that out. And also, Lance, congrats on your new baby girl. Not so new anymore. I know it's like, been a month or so, but, congratulations on fatherhood and best of luck.
Hell yeah. All right, just to circle back to Umbrella Policy, I just want to say I love Bam's work so much.
Yeah.
Like, he's making stuff that I wish I was making. You know what I mean? Like, when you pick up something or see someone's work and you're like, I wish that's what I was doing. That's the feeling I get every time I see Bam.
Yeah. Brian, his Instagram name is Bam. But it's
I know.
Brian.
I just like saying Bam.
Okay.
I know.
I didn't want the listeners to get confused. They listen real closely here.
Right.
So
yeah, cops are listening. Yeah. I do want to say what Brian's doing with his pages in this anthology, like with the colors and the newsprint aesthetic. This is what I think Ed Piskor was trying to do for years and just couldn't figure it out. And Bam's just making it look like, he's schooling him basically. Yeah. Like this is excellent. I don't know what process he's using or what he's doing with Photoshop, but he's figured it out to a science. And most importantly, it's all legible, unlike most of Piskor's work. But this is fucking amazing. But anyway.
Yeah, do a full book, or if you got one, let me know, because I like, the contributors in Umbrella Policy, but I would love to have a whole book of your work, because I have to look through 6 different issues of Umbrella Policy to get my fix of Bam.
There you go. All right, and lastly, friend of the show, Matt Allison, was nice enough to send over 2 copies of his most recent Kankor comic. Listeners, you might be familiar with his work from Ad House. They did a pretty solid release. I think it was one of the last books that Ad House did before announcing that they were closing up shop. But this also is a comic I wish I was making. This is, it's par for the course for Matt Allison. Like, Matt is a fucking G. This dude has been consistently making amazing work for, 15 years now, for as long as I've known him. But this newest issue of Kankor is, to no surprise, fucking amazing. I don't know if he has any copies left, I think he might have sold out. He may be reprinting it. I'm not really sure. You're going to have to hit him up on Instagram.
Something tells me strangers will probably get copies of that too.
I would hope.
Yeah. I didn't know he sent that over. Hell yeah.
But yeah, if you want, go ahead and check him out on Instagram. It's Cankor with 2 R's. So that's CANKORR. And check out his work. And bug him for the newest issues if they're not listed. Because I feel like if he gets enough people hitting him up, he'd be more willing to do a reprint. Because this is all self-published. Like, this is all him.
Hell yeah. Well, I'm stoked to check it out. I'm a fan of that dude. That Cankor book that Ad House did was incredible. So thanks, Matt.
Exactly. Before the interview, there was something that I wanted to discuss. While I was on my trip in St. Louis, I was spending a lot of time with my close friend Kimber, who is based out of Gainesville, Florida. She does a massive amount of grassroots organizing, a lot of activism and work for prisoners. Her and her circle of friends, they've been organizing a program to send books to prisoners. And one of the things that they are really trying to push for more is comics, because they get a lot of requests from prisoners wanting more comics, manga, American comics, European anything, doesn't matter. They just want more comics. And I guess it is, for some reason, something that they just don't get a lot of. They'll just get a lot of hand-me-down books, the Da
Vinci Code.
Right. Pretty run-of-the-mill paperbacks. And that sounds like hell. I mean, fuck that. You're already in prison. You don't need any further, But yeah, so I would say, if you have any books that you don't read anymore, any comics that you don't read anymore, and you have no issue parting ways with, do reach out to any local prison book programs. They are all very much in need of comics, so just send them their way. There are some restrictions to what you can send, obviously, because the state is always watching, and it varies from state to state, so you may have to do a little bit of research to figure out what is okay and what isn't. I do know that across the board, they don't want hardcovers. They only want soft covers. And I think nudity is not okay. Again, I think that depends on the state, so you may have to look into that. But other than that, yeah, you should be sending them their way. Cam and myself will likely be doing a little bit of a book drive, comic drive sort of thing sometime soon. So if you're not sure about that, you can send them our way. We'll have more information, hopefully on the next episode. If not, the episode after that, once we get all the ins and outs figured out.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're listening to this, I know you have a stack of comics that you're not reading. Like, that's just the reality of it. So why have them just waste space and not be appreciated when they can go to someone who will actually read and enjoy them? So yeah, more news on that. We will be discussing that further once we have more details.
And one thing that I do want to announce, we're going to do another shirt soon. Got a couple things in the works, but just a heads up, we do need some reviews and ratings on our iTunes page and, Google Play page, wherever you download us from. So as a new incentive to get some reviews and some, 5-star ratings, we are going to offer a t-shirt to a randomly selected person that leaves us a rating and a review. I guess it doesn't have to be 5 stars, but you'd be a cool dude or dudette or non-binary identifying person if you did leave us 5 stars. But before the t-shirts go on sale, we will hold a raffle before each one comes out. And if you leave us a review and a rating, you could win a shirt before they go on sale. So you won't end up, having 2. So yeah. So leave us a rating or review on your preferred podcast platform, and you'll be entered in a drawing before we drop our next shirt. And you could win one just for typing up some words and clicking a button. That would really help us out. That's how we can get more advertisers and sponsorships on the show as well. So, we appreciate it. And you have an incentive to win something now.
Yeah, be the realest they, them on the block. And rate and review the Gutter Boys.
Yeah, of course, we are on Patreon, patreon.com/gutterboys and gutterboys.top.
There you go.
We'll both take you there to the same place. For the $5 tier, you get 2 bonus episodes a month. There is a $10 tier for North American residents, $15 for international patrons, where you can get a zine called Pimp Digest. Actually, just a heads up, by the time this drops, it'll be Monday. I tried a different local printer this time, but they fucked up the copies, so they're fixing them. Usually I ship them out by the end of the first week of August. They are going to be just a little bit late. I plan on having them out the day or 2 after this episode airs. This issue has stuff from me and JB. JB, as well as friend of the show, Jazz Heiss. We talked about what she was working on contributing the last time. But so stay on the lookout for that. That'll be in your mailboxes soon.
Yes. So as per usual, all complaints can go to @CamDelRosario on Instagram.
So I can shit a brick and just bother JB while he's trying to get real shit done.
Yes. And all boob pics can be sent to @MortCrimp Jr. Yes, if you support small press, show boobs. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Alrighty, and before we get out of here and wrap up with the interview with Big Gleb, just want to say that we are happy to be a part of the Autoptic 2021 digital programming for the second year in a row. If you're not familiar, Autoptic is a Twin Cities-based arts festival focusing on comics, zines, and print media. They are teaming up with us, the Thick Lines podcast, and the Uncivilized Territories podcast for a series of 10 readings and interviews featuring some of comics' best artists and storytellers from around the world. Make sure to follow Autoptic on Instagram @Autoptic Festival and Twitter @Autoptic Fest to stay up to date, and subscribe to our show and Uncivilized Territories as well as Thick Lines, wherever you get your podcast, to make sure you get the content. And just a little peek at the schedule. Our next episode on the main feed will be with Jaime Hernandez and is a part of the official programming. It looks like on that day as well, there is content dropping with Blue Deliquanti. Might have pronounced that wrong. I'm so sorry if I did. As well as Pascal Gerard. And then a couple days later on the 25th, it looks like on the Uncivilized Territories podcast, Greg Hunter is doing a feature on Dash Shaw, and there will be additional content dropped with Trung Lee Win, as well as Josh Cotter. And on the 27th, rounding out all the content drop, Kyler Roberts was interviewed by Rob Kirby, and Leomi Sadler will be on Thick Lines, as well as content from Sheer Spectre as well. So yeah, be on the lookout for all of that. Pete will be on the intro for our next episode, kind of breaking down exactly where everything's going to be and, how to access it. So on the intro for the next one, just like last year, Pete will be there to give us a crash course on all things Autoptic, but you do have that to look forward to. But hey, I think we've been here long enough, so thanks for listening to the intro, and stick around for the break. Stick around
let's get the Gleb. Let's get the Gleb.
Stick around after the break.
Skip all of this. Go straight to Big Gleb. All right, we'll be right back.
We'll be right back.
Floodland brings together a series of personal and natural disasters featured in comics by Australian cartoonist and cult hero Jonathan McBurney. Beginning with the protagonist's chronic illness, it relates a long period of bizarre artistic practices, awkward art school relationships, the brutal reality of the 9-to-5 grind of the submerging artist, and culminates in the massive flood in his hometown. The peripheral characters whose lives orbit the same places and occasionally overlap through mundane circumstances include Basquiat, an artist come superhero whose successes are vastly out of proportion with his talents, Picasso Minotaur, a brawny beefcake sculptor with fire in his belly and hate in his heart, and Kirby Kelly, a hapless and constantly flummoxed experiment gone wrong. Floodland is a 96-page hardcover available from arglebarglebooks.com. Check out jonathanmcburney.com and king_of_nails on Instagram for more beefcake, wrestling, and existential conundrums.
Rust Belt Review is a quarterly comics lit magazine featuring serialized and short-form comics from some of the most exciting cartoonists in the small press scene today. Volume 1 features work from Gutter alums M.S. Harkness, Audra Stang, and Caleb Orecchio, along with work by Andrew Greenstone, Sean Knickerbocker, and Juan Jose Fernandez. You can order your copy of Rust Belt Review today by going to rustbeltreview.org. Enter in promo code GUTTER to receive $2 off your order. Again, that website is rustbeltreview.org, promo code GUTTER.
Now, back to our program.
And welcome back from the break. We are here today with Russian-based cartoonist Gleb Melnikov. He is currently working on Robin over at DC with Josh Williamson. And
yes,
he was
well-known small press publisher, DC.
and he was working on Angel. It turned into Angel and Spike from the Buffyverse over. Was that Boom or who was doing Buffy now?
Yeah, it was Boom.
Boom. Okay. Well, yeah, we're here with Gleb today. Really excited to be with him. What's up, though, dude?
It's all good. I'm finishing the 6th issue of Robin, so yeah.
Yeah, I actually just bought Robin. I think it came out, I think it was last week. And then, I know Artyom also had the same thing. We didn't realize you weren't drawing it. And then I brought it home and I was like, yeah, this isn't Gleb. So you got to skip issue, I guess. Is that like to give you a break or was that planned?
It wasn't planned, but yeah, I couldn't meet the deadlines for issue, I think 1 or 2. So I think issue 1 because I was coloring that issue as well. So they said like to buy me time, they bring like another artist for issue 4. But yeah, it was Jorge Corona. He's like very good artist actually. So I was a little bit intimidated because I thought, oh shit, they really bring the good artists for that. but yeah, I'm back at issue 5, so.
Hell yeah. Now, one thing you did just mention that makes you a big dick motherfucker, in my opinion, is you said you were coloring it as well. The best thing about Robin is when you look at the credits, there's 3 names on it. You got the writer, you, and I guess the letterer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're doing the penciling, inking, and coloring. Is that because you like having so much control over the work, or?
Yeah, I'm a control freak, so yeah, it's like I couldn't color it like starting from issue 2, unfortunately, because I couldn't meet the deadlines, as I said. But yeah, it was cool experience because I did all the art in the backups of Detective and Batman first, and then in Robin #1. So yeah, it's huge.
Hell yeah. Before you were at DC, you were, doing the Boom stuff, but that was just your American work. I do want to kind of get into like what the scene's like over there. I'm only really familiar, with you and, Artyom as far as, that are based over there, but I'm assuming of course there's a scene. So what's that like over there?
Well, right now it's kind of weird because like not in bad sense, but like all the big popular comics, they would be very small in America. Like it's feminist comics from YouTubers, and like basically it's from people who already have audience, So that's that. Like there's no big comics from just people who like make comics and just that. But there's one big publisher, Bubble, who makes like ongoings and the whole universe thing. And like I did work for them for a while. And but yeah, it's weird. Like I don't know how to describe the scene because. It feels like it's changing every year,
Mm-hmm. So are there little like shows and stuff that you do over there, like cons? What's that like?
Yeah, I don't really go to cons very often, but like sometimes I do, and yeah, people know me. But I wouldn't say I'm like the most popular guy in Russia, weirdly enough. So.
Oh, all right, end the fucking interview. We're done. I thought that was the whole point of this.
Where are you living in Russia? Like, where exactly? Exact address.
Like right now, I'm living in Belarus. So.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay. I only know Belarus because of a band.
Oh, which band?
Molchat Doma.
Oh, yeah, I know them. Like not personally, but like I know.
Yeah, you're best friends with them.
I'm in the band. I am the band.
Yeah. Damn, that would be a swerve.
Yeah. I'm not really familiar with your work outside of the stuff that's stateside. So what were you working on and stuff before you, I guess, quote unquote, got your break?
Well, here's the thing. Like Russian comics, like in a big sense, well, they started in about 2012 because there were a lot of like new publishers popping up and died in the same month, because it was like kind of new thing, and everyone suddenly wanted to make comics. And like I was one of them. I was with my friends, and we wanted to straight up make 2 ongoings right from the bed. Like we had to learn from our mistakes. So yeah, the thing quickly died, but like I did 1 or 2 issues, then moved to another thing, which also died because the writer was like the weird motherfucker. Like he like I don't really want to like get into that thing, but yeah, it was weird. So basically, I think I started to be a recognizable artist in about 2019 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I started working with that like Bubble publisher, and I did graphic novel, I guess you can say, like with my friend, another publisher, and that publisher, like another one, it was called White Unicorn, horrible fucking name. That dude was like the worst dude I've ever met in my life. Like he was straight up horrible person, and like I got
Not a writer.
Not a writer, like the publisher dude. And
Oh, okay, gotcha.
the writer is my friend, actually. Yeah.
Okay.
But the publisher was basically the only option for us because he was paying money and he was kind of reliable and he was willing to like buy our comic and publish it. But yeah, I don't know if it was worth it because like he's straight up he's straight up Nazi,
Yeah.
Like I found out like after the fact, but like in 2019 the Boom contacted me, and like I did a couple of covers for them, and then like I remember they started publishing the Buffy comic with George Blair, and like I just wrote the editor, hey, like if you ever need fill-in artists or something for that, or like covers for Buffy, like I like Buffy, so I said, hey, you can use me. And a couple months later they wrote me, hey, we like doing this new thing in Buffy universe, do you want to do 5 pages for us because our artist like he's not meeting the deadline. Like, yeah, okay. It was the 0 issue of Angel, and I did 5 pages for them, and at the same time I was doing I was still working on Igor Grom. It was a comic for Bubble. So I was in the middle of the arc there, and I was doing like I thought 5 pages is fine, like it's okay, I'll manage. And then they did say like, hey, so yeah, the thing with our artist, he's quit, so can you draw the rest of the issue? It was 16 pages. I was like, oh, holy shit. Okay, so so yeah, I did basically 2 issues that month, and then they asked me if I wanna draw the series, and I said, hey, I want to, but I can't because at that time I was working on a pitch for Legendary, and it was successful pitch, but I was working on it with Jai Needs, so like the dude was like I was in a Ramon situation basically.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So did you enjoy the experience of like working on an IP book? I mean, you're still somewhat doing that, but I mean, so I guess you liked it enough to where you're still going to continue to try to work in that venture versus, your own creation.
It was actually good because like there was I don't want to say a lot, but there was certain freedom there, and basically me and Brian Hill, we just did what we want, and I don't know, it was. It felt like it was created on thing, but like with the existing characters, characters, if you know what I mean. Like there wasn't a lot of notes there, so I was just vibing,
Yeah. Whenever you're working on these, is there like a strict set of rules, like with Buffy or even Robin? Because I guess that's where the editors come in, right? Like they've got to make sure everything lines up. You don't probably have to think about that, or is that something that you're told like you need to draw this certain way?
No, I don't think so. Like we had some notes, at Angel comic, like we can show like brands or like things like that. I did a thing with Spike. He was rocking like those T-shirts with made up names, made up band names. Like Taking Back Sunnydale or something like that. Like when I took like the real band names and turned it into something vampire themed, but they said yeah, you can't do that too, so like that was a bummer. But yeah, it was those minor things. In Robin we have some like violence restrictions, which
Oh wow, okay.
yeah, like we had to erase blood in some cases, which not really works sometimes, because I use blood sometimes like a device to show motion, and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but
So do you feel any kind of pressure? Because I mean, Batman and the Batman universe are, the most, probably the highest selling comics. Batman, there's so many titles, and that's because Batman and, the characters from Gotham City and that world are just so hot. They've got such like a dedicated fan base. Do you ever feel pressure from that?
at first yes, but I don't know. Right now I'm just trying to make it on time, so I don't have I don't really have a time to stress about those things.
Hell yeah.
Was this book something that you were previously like a regular reader of?
Well, I mean, it's a new series, so.
Well, I mean the character.
The character,
Sorry.
I wrote a couple. I mean, I read a couple of runs of Damien, because I'm an artist, and I read comics in which I like the art basically. So Damien was historically very very lucky with the artists depicting him. So yeah, I haven't read everything, but yeah, I read some of it.
So what kind of comics did you like grow up reading? Were comics something that, you were into as a kid? What's your relationship with actually like as a reader?
Well,
and growing up, like what kind of stuff do you have?
When I was growing up, I just read what I could find, like in stores and things like that. Because at that time, like the early thousands, the comics were just started popping up in Russia, and it was like there was no basically logic in it. There was no DC comics. I remember there was a lot of Marvel, not a lot of, like, it was something from Marvel. It was Spider-Man. Like the first comic I ever bought, it was some issue of Amazing Spider-Man with Jar Jar on art, and like,
hell yeah.
I think that's what made the biggest impression on me at that time. And like some pirates, there were pirates in manga. They decided, hey, we can just buy a license and publish things legally.
Mm-hmm.
So they published several volumes of Ranma. So Rumiko Takahashi was also like a big influence on me. And yeah, then I remember buying Hellboy, and like it was like something else, like different completely, because I never thought someone could draw like that. And they published like the first 2 volumes of Hellboy in black and white, and for a long time I thought it was a black and white comic. And I remember I was a little bit disappointed when I found out it was in color originally, because I always thought it looks cooler in black and white.
So they were kind of doing like they were reprinting it over there, but not in color, the Hellboy books?
Yeah, because it probably was like cheaper.
Cheaper, yeah. You did mention like before 2012 there wasn't much of a scene. So like, was there any kind of reason for that? You said it kind of just took off in 2012.
I don't know. It's like I literally don't know like what was the catalyst of that, because maybe that one publisher bubble that like started like the big things, because they still active, and they did a movie this year which is popular on Netflix right now, like Major Chrome, and things are good for them. But I don't know. I don't think they were the first. So I don't know what happened. Maybe just like people's subconsciousness. I don't know. I don't know what happened. But maybe just dudes like me who grew up reading those Marvel comics in the early thousands, they grow up and they just wanted to do something for themselves. I don't know.
Hell yeah.
So how would you compare your experiences working for a large, massive publisher like DC versus the smaller publisher that you were working before with?
Well,
besides the pay, we know the pay was different.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think like my experience with DC and Boom, like they too different, you know. Probably because I was working on the IP book at Boom, so maybe that's the reason. But I don't know, like it wasn't too different.
Well, in terms of how about like your working relationships with the editors?
It's great. Like again, I was very lucky with probably every editor I was working like in American comics. So like I literally can't say anything bad about any of them. Like except one dude at how did she was called? Dynamite. Like I did 2 covers for them, which they ended up using, and I still like they didn't pay me.
Oh shit,
that sucks.
Okay.
Still, they never like followed up even after you pursued.
Nope. I blew up my deadlines, so I thought, well, okay. Like I still did the work, and I thought, well, okay. The dude said to me, like they ended up using another artist. I was like, okay, fair enough. But then, like a month from that, I just sold the comics, and I've seen my covers, and I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's fucked. Wow. Okay. Well, we've shit on Dynamite on the show before, so I guess this is. I didn't realize they were skimping on payments, but
I mean, I was going to say that's.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say that lines up because I've heard that.
Yeah, that's shitty. I do want to, talk to you because you did have your hand in creating an original character with DC. And that's not something that I feel like just anybody gets to do. Like I feel like I don't really know the process behind it, but I feel like you can't just make up a new character easily. I feel like there's a lot of red tape involved. What's the process like there? Did you collaborate with your writer? Because I mean, you do get credit in creating Flatline.
Well, I don't know. It just happened super fast because, like, when Josh sent me the plan for the arc, and he said we will need like new characters, and there was a list of new characters because like we need new fighters on the tournament, and like there was like she is the sidekick of Lord Deathman from Bat Manga, so she was originally named Lord Death Girl or Lady Death Girl, something like that. And I just, like one evening, I just sat and drew the design, and I sent it to Josh, and I had this like flat line, like literally flat line on her jacket in the back, and he said, holy shit, like, okay, we need to name her Flatline because there's the thing, if she's Lord Death Girl, she's I don't know how to say that. She's not completely new character, and we can't claim royalties for that. But if she's Flatline, she's basically a new character. So yeah, Josh is pretty experienced in that. So he said, yeah, she's a Flatline because that way we'll get money.
Right. So as far as you don't have to discuss.
I was just saying, like it was like the bullseye from the first try because I haven't changed anything in her design as far as I remember. Like from the first time, I sent it to Josh.
Damn. So you're like Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne would knock out verses in one take.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
like lasagna.
Yeah, there you go. So, and I don't want you to get into specifics or anything, but we get a lot of questions into our show about how to navigate the business. So with you owning a stake in a character that you created for someone else, do you have any advice for anyone, like as far as like protecting yourself when you create something that belongs to someone else to make sure that you're getting taken care of on the back end? Now, I know that, Flatline hasn't made it to a movie or anything yet, but as far as like the actual taking care of yourself as an artist, setting yourself up to be taken care of if something happens down the line.
I had one advice from Josh because he did like giant run on The Flash, there was like 100 issues or something like that. and they ended up using a lot of characters from that run in the CW show. And he said, like, you should remind them all the time because they don't really monitoring that shit, and you literally have to remind the editors, like, I created the characters and they're using it in the show, give me my money. So that's like that.
And you're not saying this, I'm saying this. It seems like they'll kind of skate by without paying you if they can, so you just have to be really diligent as far as reminding them, hey, you know, that's me.
Yeah, I don't know what's the deal. Probably it like varies with different editors and stuff like that. But I don't know. I've heard a lot of shady stuff, so yeah, it's all possible.
Too many cooks in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So one thing I did really want to talk about is bootleg comics in Russia.
Hell yeah.
Did you have any experience reading bootlegs?
I mean, yeah. I mean, yeah. Without like pirate comics, I wouldn't be even noticed right now, I think. So yeah, I'm pro piracy.
Yes. The bootleg comics I'm thinking of, at least the ones that I've seen, will either appropriate existing artwork or redraw them. And then sometimes they'll follow whatever the narrative they're ripping off from. And sometimes they'll just completely change the story using the art that they have.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't remember any stuff like this, like in comics. But I remember when I was a kid, there was like a line of books, children's books with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in them, and they were like just using the whatever was in theaters in that month, like Terminator and movies like that, like the aliens, and they're just adding the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in the equation. It was like the wildest books I've ever read.
Yeah, that's the stuff I want to read.
Yeah, they were with pictures, of course, because it's kids' books, and I'll send you some like pictures. It was hilarious.
Yeah, I'd love to check it out. I have a small collection of Chinese bootleg Ninja Turtle comics, and the formats, there's like maybe four or five like different formats that they use that I own at least. And one of them is just VHS stills that they grabbed and then put dialogue over it with word bubbles.
Oh, wow.
Man, you made me remember that there was a Pokemon comic like that in Russia. Yeah, it was probably from the first like animated movie with Mewtwo, and there were stills from that movie and with horrible lettering and stuff.
Yes. Yeah, I want to see more. I want to see a revival of that kind of bootleg comic.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
Like, yeah, there just should be more. And I also love like the mains like format that I have, like the most copies I have of, is all original artwork from what I can tell.
Oh.
Some of them are like clearly trace jobs, like very poor trace jobs, but others are like totally original art. And that's the stuff that I really love too. It's just like so out there.
Yeah, that sounds wild.
Is this stuff hard to Google?
It is. Okay, it is. Yeah. I've tried to do more research because, you know, after we talked with Bubbles about this, I wanted to do an article kind of outlining bootleg comics. And there's very little information online. It's very difficult to track down. The comics themselves are near impossible to find. I kind of lucked out.
I wonder what the retail situation on that was. Like, were they sold in like, you know, like big chain stores, or was it like where would you find like the Pokemon comic and stuff like that? Like, obviously not licensed stuff.
Man, I don't remember actually. I don't know. It just appeared in my house at some point. I don't know.
Yeah.
I remember those Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles books. They were like super popular, and you could find them like in libraries and stuff. Like they.
Oh shit! Okay.
They really didn't care. Like it was the 90s, so like it was the big bootleg boom in Russia, I guess. So yeah.
What's the Russian equivalent of a corner store?
I mean, I don't know, man. What do you mean by corner store? Like
Corner stores are like convenience stores. Usually they're in neighborhoods.
Oh, okay. Well, like we have the same stuff. Like they're just separate small buildings. So like in every neighborhood. So it's basically the same thing, I guess.
Okay. So yeah. So I would assume that's where a lot of them are being sold, I'd imagine.
Yeah, probably.
So do you all have like specialty comic shops there now, or are comics sold through the bookstores?
Yeah, like we have several comic shops, and I think some of them died during the coronavirus. So
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right.
yeah, but yeah, like we have the comic shops right now. But I kind of miss the feeling of like when I was a kid, I had to search in my town for like different comic series and different kiosks. So like you had to know, like it was like a game. You had to know the points, like the joints in your town where they sell stuff. Like it sounds like I was talking about drugs, but no, I was talking about comics.
Yeah. On this corner, you can get Spider-Man. On this corner, you can
it was literally that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where's that stash spot?
Yeah.
So going back to Robin, obviously you got a much larger audience of readers becoming more familiar with your name and your art. What's the most unhinged fan that you've had to deal with, whether it be in person or online?
Like I don't know about deal with, but like here's the thing. I love fan arts. Okay, so when the first couple issues came out, I made a huge mistake of term searching Twitter for like Damien and Flatline because I wanted to see some fan arts. And let's just say some Damien fans should be in prison. Like I just ended up saying, "Hey, tag me on your fan arts. I'll retweet them because like I've seen things I wish I could erase from my memory."
Yeah, I'm not going to say what I think those things probably are.
Yeah, considering the characters are underage.
Yeah, everyone in the room kind of understands what that means, so we don't really need to go further with that.
Yeah. But I do want to kind of circle back around to Robin before we get into listener questions. How did you get that gig? Did somebody see the Buffy stuff and they were just like, oh yeah, this guy would kill this book? How did that get set up?
I think it's because of Josh, because he was actually the reason why I'm in DC right now. He was the first writer who, I guess, saw me on Twitter, and he was like, hey, I show your stuff to my editors. So then I ended up working on some like other comics with other writers at DC, but I think I was his like first choice for the artist at Robin.
Hell yeah. So no competition there.
Yep.
Alrighty. Are you locked in? Like, how many issues do you, I don't know if it's a contract situation or an issue by issue deal. Like, how long do you plan to stay on the book?
Well, I think I would stay for at least a year because, before Robin, I really wanted to work on an ongoing, and now at my free time, I'm working on my own ongoing, which I will pitch like this month. So we'll see. But yeah, I think I will do at least like 12 or 13 issues.
All right, hell yeah. So what's your schedule like, working on this book?
Man, I'm really bad at time management. So like I wake up.
I would never guess that by how much you participate in the group chat.
I think we found the source of the problem.
Yeah, I just wake up, I play some games, maybe watch some movies, and then like when I'm super tired, I was like, I guess I need to work. And like the weird thing is when I'm at crunch, when I'm like being late at deadlines, and when I'm doing like several pages a day, those pages are better than the ones I draw like on normal tempo. So yeah, I don't know, maybe it's some subconscious thing when I just put myself in this situation where I had to draw pages, and like I catch second breath, and like all those pages, basically all the last pages in the issues of Robin, they're all good.
I'm the same way. Like, I love working against a deadline. I just put it off until the last minute to where I absolutely can't, and you just don't really have time to think about it. You just got to do it.
Yeah.
That's how I work too. It's very stressful.
Yeah,
but
it's like a sport thing, I guess. Like you feel yourself like Rocky Balboa.
Yeah, just running up the stairs, drawing pages.
Mm-hmm.
So, Big Gleb, what's on rotation? What are you listening to? Do you listen to music while you draw?
I don't know. Like last year or so, I'm just listening to podcasts and shit like that, or some maybe shows that I don't really have to watch. Like I put them on background because I got too distracted by music sometimes, and yeah. I don't know. I just like some emo stuff, like bands like La Dispute, something like that. But yeah, I got too distracted by them. Like try to draw a Robin page, like when you listen to King Park or something like that.
Okay. So, is there anything that you're listening to when you're not drawing?
I don't know. I'm into some like early 2000 stuff. I'm like Ramon in that sense.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, enough said.
Taste. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we understand now. All right.
Refined. How old are you, Gleb?
I'm 29.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, so we're a little older than you, but yeah, okay. Hell yeah. So it's that time of the show where we get into listener questions. As always, you can ask questions on our Instagram. We always put up like question surveys. We also have a Discord. If you're not in there already, you can DM our show account at Gutter Boys Pod on Instagram or Twitter, and we'll get you an invite link. People drop questions in there. For this episode, we actually took questions from Twitter, but after reading some of them, I don't know if those are going to get answered or not. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, first question came from our Discord, Gleb, for you, and it came from Jeremiah Hall. How long did the process of redesigning Robin take for the new series? How much input did DC editorial have on the design? And what inspirations did you pull from for the costume?
Well, like when I was first trying to design the new costume, I was just spitballing, and I put some stuff on Twitter, and like I just saw Damien fans like just hating it, and yeah, it wasn't a good design or something, but like I was trying stuff, and that made me think that I need to try something like super different. Like I tried to forget about like Robin colors and Robin shapes. I was trying to make him look sharp and sleek, and I ended up just I wanted to use like two colors, but then I remembered like there was a red Robin, and I don't want Damien to look like him too. So yeah, like the editors, they said to basically use the Robin colors in some sense. Like there is green in his costume, like right now, even though it's not really in your eyes, like it's his mask and his shoelaces and stuff like that. So I don't know, I just want to do something new, and I guess something more maybe inspired by the animated series, like the later season of Batman Adventures.
Hell yeah. Is that something you grew up watching, or did you find out about that like later on? I don't know if it was over there.
I found out about it like a little bit later on, because it wasn't on TV when I was growing up, like when I was watching the other cartoons like Spider-Man or the X-Men or Gargoyles, and it was a little bit later, but still I was a teenager, and like all the aesthetic of that, the stylization, like it really inspired me, like in design sense, because it was very simple, still very sleek and very modern looking, even though they were trying to do like a classic theme.
So, like, I know each writer's different, but on Robin, do you have a lot of freedom with your art, or are you working pretty close to the script?
I usually work pretty close, but I do some things like when I add something to like to make scene a little bit more interesting visually, or like when I like the artists, the writers I work with, they're pretty, like they give me freedom, and they always saying like, hey, like change or add something if you want to, like especially when it comes to the action scenes. Like probably in action scenes, I change stuff pretty much a lot. So yeah, but like in the usual talking scenes, like I can add some panels or add some, I don't know, some things in the scene, like in the issue I'm working right now, there was a scene like when like Flatline and Zemgian, they sitting and watching the other fighters fight, and I just added like the green tea in Zemgian's arms, and then Flatline just grabs it and just drink it herself. Because it was like a bonding scene in like in sense of talking, but I just had to add something physical to that, like stuff like that. Like sometimes I do things, but I don't know. I just writers I work with, they usually like they're pretty good, and they're more experienced with stuff like that. So yeah, I don't change stuff if I don't have to.
Mm-hmm. Hell yeah. Okay, next question is from Mitch. We kind of already touched on this. For Gleb, what are the various influences to your style?
Well, like I said, Rumiko Takahashi, Jar Jar, Frank Miller probably, Chris Bachalo, Joe Madureira. Like I guess all the cliffhanger stuff from the old 2000s. Like I'm trying to put some like manga influence in that, and maybe some Miller and Jar Jar. No, it evolves in itself. So I don't really even controlling it anymore. So it's hard to tell.
Alrighty, hell yeah. All right, so the next question and final question from our Discord came from user Ryan_awful_quiet. How much of Robin is autobio?
Yeah, it all happened. Like Josh isn't even like a real writer. It's like my Akira Yoshida persona. So yeah, you got me.
Yeah, it's 100%.
Like it's still happening. I'm on the island right now.
Right, yeah.
All right.
Okay, Instagram user Moldova Maria asked, tackling imposter syndrome. We kind of touched on this, but yeah, anything that you want to kind of go further in about that?
Yeah, well, I don't really have an imposter syndrome right now. I had it like a couple of years ago. I remember on Instagram some dude said like all my posts they were looking like it was made by different artists, and that was the time I was like, oh holy shit, that sounds bad. Like he literally didn't believe that I drew all that stuff because it was too different from each other. But I don't know, I guess when you working on ongoings and when you on monthly grind, you don't really care about those things, and that's when you learn the fastest, and that's when it all goes away. Like I don't really like feel the imposter syndrome right now. I guess the answer is just to work and try not to care about those things, but I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, because I think every artist should like hate their art a little bit just to grow up.
Yeah,
right.
I agree with that.
Yeah. Well, you heard it, folks. Just get on top of the DC mountain, and you'll be fine, like our boy Gleb.
Yeah, this isn't actually a question somebody wrote in, but is there a dream character you'd like to draw, for one of those companies, Gleb?
I'd love to make a Deadman miniseries sometime.
Yeah, hell yeah!
Like I just on the strength of his design and the whole supernatural thing, I think it could be good stuff like for me to draw. Yeah. But I don't know. I really want to focus on like my own things after Robin.
Mm-hmm. Hell yeah.
Oh.
Yep. Good shit.
Anything that you would be able to kind of hint about?
Not yet, but like let's meet again when like I pitch my stuff.
Okay.
So Gleb will be back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Different kind of interview.
Right. Yes.
Alrighty. Next question came from Instagram user JCrogue1. Are you drawing Robin all digitally, or is there some ink mixed in?
The first issue was on paper, but then again, I blew my deadline, so I switched to digital. Like I wanted to draw the issue I'm working on right now on paper, but again, I ended up I find out it's still. I still need to do it digitally to make it on time, but I have like a couple of pages I did on paper in that issue.
Are you planning on selling those to the rabid fans?
Maybe in the future. I don't really want to sell them right now. Like the reason I worked on paper because I just want to see those like natural lines,
Yeah.
Like I did it for myself, not to sell stuff. But it's nice to have some pages to sell too, especially if it's like the first issue of Robin.
Yeah, for sure.
The real pimp move is to just print out all of those digital pages in non-photo blue and then re-ink them and sell them. I'm just saying. There's no... yeah, something to think about.
All right,
okay, next question. Yeah. Instagram user Bayless_171. They said, ask him his favorite Robin. We can have him fired if he doesn't say Damien.
I mean, of course, it's Damien. Like I already said that it's Damien because he's small, toxic, and he's like he's basically Artemis Fowl of comics, like of Batman comics. So yeah, I don't really care about other Robins. They suck. Except for Dick, but he's not Robin anymore, so it doesn't count.
Right. No, for Jason Todd.
I mean,
he's pretty twisted.
Yeah.
Jason is pretty cool. I give you that. But hey, like Joker killed him, so fuck him.
Yeah, that's true. He did get punked. Yeah, that's right.
It was a bitch move by him, like dying.
And right. And it also took him to get killed by the Joker to be blackpilled, whereas Damien was blackpilled right out of the gate.
Yep.
So there you go.
So you did say that you like Damien because he's the most toxic, and
it's the like. Damn, I forgot the word. Fuck. I just like Robin because he's just like me. Like when Ramon says he's just like Tony Soprano, I'm Damien.
That's me. I am him.
Yeah. So Gleb, complete this line for me, okay? If anybody goes to your Twitter account, they see this first. Complete this line for me. Won't enjoy life if
it ain't toxic, baby.
Hell yeah. Alrighty. Last Instagram question came from Ian Densford. Ian asked, I like that steampunk drawing you did. What's his favorite Bachalo?
Well, I think steampunk is my favorite Bachalo because while this comic is unreadable, it's just I don't know. I just love artists like that. Like, but Bachalo, he was working at Marvel like for the last 20 years, and I like artists like that do something different, like experiment. Like I just want him to do something else. Like create our own thing. So yeah, I know steampunk is not like the best comic as a reading experience, but I think it's one of the best experience when you just like flip through it and look at stuff.
Yeah, it's a visual first comic to you. Yeah, and, for sure.
And he got a lot better at storytelling standpoint. Like, and it's interesting because his style evolved like a couple of times through these decades, and every time it was something that I liked. Like he's like the band AFI for me because they made something different like every 10 years or so, and every time I like it. So yeah.
Hell yeah.
I've met Davey Havoc.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It was what was it? What was that punk fest thing?
The fest?
No. It traveled. Warped Tour. Yeah. Yeah. 1 year I went because my best friend, who's in that comic I did, that Autobio comic, his older brother was in a band that played Warped Tour, so they had a lot of connections.
Mm-hmm.
So they got us backstage passes one year, and at the end of the shows, you know, every time they do a city, at the end of the night, everyone, all the bands, all the crew and staff, they'll have like this big barbecue in the back lot where all the trailers are and stuff. And we were in a circle around a fire pit near the lake. This was in St. Pete, so it wasn't a lake. It was by the beach. And
I was like lake in Florida. I was like,
there's lakes in Florida, but this was not a lake. Yeah. And I think that was the same night I saw a woman pissing while standing.
Nice.
That just like blew my mind at a young age. But we were all like in this circle, and one of our buddies pulled out an acoustic guitar and started singing. Fuck, what was it? I think it was Green Day, probably. And someone from the shadows walks up with this black umbrella. And and keep in mind, it's the middle of the night, so he has shades and and a black umbrella. And he comes and he sits by us and he starts singing along with us. And we were all fucking properly shithoused at this point. And I do know that like 90% of the people in that circle were like huge AFI marks, like massive fans. So that kind of like, they all blew their load that night, I think. Very nice
crazy.
man. Yeah.
That sounds awesome. By the way, I really liked your Asian Man Records comic.
Oh, thank you, Gleb. I appreciate that. It's, you know, hopefully maybe I'll do a Cyborg on DC next. You know.
Well, Gleb is paving the way for toxic artists there.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, it's true. Okay. So maybe the door is now open. Okay. Okay. Very cool. All right. We have one last question. It's from an Instagram user who I don't know who they are because I screen grabbed the reply page. It doesn't matter. Anyway, they asked, how do you think you would do if you were chosen to be Robin?
Well, I think I'd slowly poison Batman to like to have have his money, and like then I will. Oh yeah, you know what? I'll go to therapy, and I will like what those boring people like trying to do with Batman. I'll go to therapy and
and
invest
social
money
work
in,
programs,
infrastructure. Like yeah, and then I'll of course kill myself.
Nice.
Like a real hero. Yeah.
A martyr.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, Gleb, we appreciate you coming on. But before we get out of here, where can people find you online? Anything you want to plug?
Yeah, they can find me on Twitter at Gleb Melnikov 8, and like so don't really search me anywhere else, but because I'm not really on Instagram anymore. I post sometimes, but like it's all on Twitter pretty much. So
Twitter is your preferred social media platform.
Yeah.
And you're back on the new issue of Robin, I guess, next month that'll be out?
Yep.
Okay, hell yeah. That's actually, I recently sold the like 90% of my Batman collection, but your book, I'm still buying it and it's staying in the collection. It's good shit, dude.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Yeah,
man,
thank you.
You're doing killer work, and excited to see what happes post DC too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get you back on.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Hell yeah. Alrighty, well, as always, we appreciate you tuning in, and stay gutter.
Yeah, thank you for having me.